Well, I'm Cheryl Sussman,
Sam Sussman.
and this is November 13th, 2010. And right now we are in our rental in North Boulder. And our address of our property that burned in the fire was on LaBelle Road, which is up off of Sugarloaf Road.
Great. Okay, thank you. Okay. So let's talk a little bit about the evacuation. Cheryl and I have already talked about it. But maybe you guys could recreate it for us briefly. Just, you know, when were you aware of the fire? When did you, how much notice were you given? When did you leave? Those kind of things.
Well, we were home on Labor Day, the 6th of September, because it was a holiday, and we normally would have been at work at our store. But we had a 3-day weekend, so we were home, just kind of relaxing. We'd had a bunch of people over the night before for a barbecue, and we had just cleaned up the kitchen and the house and stuff, and we're just hanging out, and the phone rang, and it was a reverse 911, but it wasn't an evacuation call. It was an informational call that was just letting us know that there was a fire in Emerson Gulch that was being attended to. And we both said, where's Emerson Gulch? And we didn't know where Emerson Gulch was really exactly. So we got out the little iPad and put it in, Googled it to see where it was. And as we were in the process of doing that, our neighbors, Yates and Christina, walked in. We're the kind of neighbors that walk into each other's houses all the time. There's no knocking involved. And said, you guys, there's a fire out here. And we said, we know, we just got the call. They don't have a landline. Or they didn't have a landline. So anyway, we went outside and we could see the fire across the canyon from our spot. We look across to Fourmile Canyon, or across Fourmile Canyon to the, to the area up above it, and that's where the fire was. It was coming from the lower part, which I assume is Emerson Gulch, and then going up and over towards Gold Hill. And the wind was blowing pretty hard. It was actually a beautiful day, but the wind was blowing a lot. Up at our place, the sky was blue. There wasn't any smoke. A bunch of friends started calling us from town and saying, what's up, you guys? It's really smoky down here. So obviously it was smoky downtown, but we told them it's not smoky up here at all, and I think we're fine because the fire is blowing hard away from us. And then a firefighter came up to hang out with us for a while, Sugarloaf firefighter, to see the fire because it was a great vantage point. Our neighbors were coming up. We were at a high point. And so he was looking at it too. He said, well, I'm going to go, and you guys are fine. This fire would have to turn 180 degrees to get to you. And so we agreed with that, basically. And then within, what do you think, like a half hour of that, we started smelling smoke, which was weird because we hadn't smelled smoke the whole time. And I yelled.
Power went off.
And the power went off soon after that. And I said to Sam, I'm going to run in and pack a suitcase because, just in case we do have to evacuate, I'd like to have some clothes. He said, good idea. So I went in and I got the suitcase out of where it's stored and put it on the floor and opened it up, and that's how long it took before we got a yell from outside. There were some friends next door who yelled, you have to leave right away. And I was like, well, that seems odd. So I ran downstairs, opened the door, looked out, and there was like a 20-foot wall of flames right behind our neighbor's house. And our neighbor's house is right next door. I mean, we have a lot of land around us, but our houses, we share a lot of, or shared a lot of utilities and stuff like that. So anyway, so that it was clear we had to leave then. I mean, it was time to go. So we, and it got smoky, and the flames were huge, and it was hot. And so I just yelled to you, take the Highlander, I guess. We had 2 cars up there, our Toyota and our Audi. And I said, take the Highlander, and I'm going to take the Audi. And I went and grabbed my purse. So I had my purse, which had ended up being pretty good. Because if I hadn't taken my purse, that's a lot of stuff I would have had to try and figure out. So, but that's where my keys were. That's the only reason I took my purse. It wasn't like I thought to myself, I better take my purse. I just grabbed it for my keys. And I ran down to the car and
yelled at me.
And yelled,
You know.
Sam, get out of there, you know, because he was kind of taking his time and I was nervous. So he just got his keys. Sam didn't.
And my wallet.
Your wallet, you did get your
I
wallet.
had to find my keys in my wallet. It's,
Right.
you know.
Right, a process, yeah.
So what was going on for you, Sam, when that 20-foot wall of flames showed up?
Well, I thought,
I'm sorry, can I start you again? And just, you can
Make
just
it
start
question.
when,
What was
when
going on?
when I saw the flames or something.
when I saw the flames, I thought, this is the fire devil after us, you know, and you know, looked like it was time to get the heck out of there pretty fast. So we did. You know, I grabbed my keys in my wallet and hopped in the car, and that was it. And you know, pretty much I had my jacket and the clothes and this pair of sweatpants on.
Right, I had this pair of shoes on. I call them survivors. We had just the clothes we had on, and those happened to be what they were.
And I had thrown the pictures in the you
Well,
know,
that's-
the case of pictures in the
Right.
car.
Earlier on, yeah. we had-
Earlier on, just as kind of a, well, you know, you don't know what's gonna happen, it's probably not gonna come here, but at least we have
Right,
the
we didn't even
pictures,
think, I
you know.
mean, basically, I think what it was more was that we thought, well, if we have to evacuate at some point, we might as well have the pictures with us that we had packed up from the '89 Black Tiger fire, and they were just sitting there in the same container they'd been in from then. So we went to our file, pulled a few papers out, threw them in with the pictures, and there's the dryer. Sorry.
That's okay.
The clothes are dry.
Will it beep again?
No, it's done beeping.
Okay.
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 Anyway,
So-
so we had this container of pictures, and we both, I think, thought of it right away. Really, soon after we got the phone call, just might as well throw that in the car, because it's there, it's been there for 21 years. And so, why not throw it in the car? So we did. And that was really all we intentionally took with us.
You also talked about some things that were in your cars.
Yeah, we had some things in the cars. We had our tennis rackets. You know, in terms of what was in there, it was whatever happened to be in the cars at the time. But we're, you know, living in the mountains, you end up having things in your car, probably a lot more than living in town.
Couple of pairs of boots.
Yeah, we didn't even realize that till probably, I'd say maybe a week later.
Yeah.
We looked in the trunk of the Audi, and we had Sam's Sorels and my big snow boots. So random, you know, so we have snow boots. And there were a few hats and stuff, like warm hats, so that we had thrown in the Audi back at the end of the winter or whenever, that were still there. So that was kind of interesting. And yeah, our tennis rackets in a backpack with some other tennis stuff. I don't know if there was anything else. Oh, you had a pair of shoes, I think, maybe?
Pair of shoes that you hate.
Right, I don't like those shoes, yeah. Shoes that I don't care for. But anyway, a pair of shoes that were in the car. I think that's about it. I mean, there really wasn't much else.
Pretty much it, yeah.
Yeah, so that was it.
Great. I'm sure there are a million things you wish you had taken with you. Can you name, you know, the top 3 things for each of you that you wish you had taken, or the top whatever things?
Well, one of the things I realized that I've missed, right away I realized that I missed a lot were my orchids. And I know that probably sounds silly or trite to some people, but you know, people have given them to us over the years, and they do really well in our house. It's a very dry environment. It's a really weird place for orchids to do well, but we have a lot of sun. We live in a geodesic dome, and lived. Sorry. well, hard to do that past tense. We lived in the geodesic dome, and there was a lot of light, southern and western light, and I don't know, they loved it. So we had, I think when we finally counted, we came up with about 15
Yeah.
orchids of various sizes, shapes, and colors, and in various times in their blooming cycles. So some of them were blooming, some of them had buds. Anyway, that was really hard for me. I just, I guess part of it was I felt responsible for them. And, you know, it's like, well, they couldn't do anything. You know, they couldn't, take care of themselves. So I guess it almost like some people have their animals. We didn't have any animals anymore. So I don't know. That's just one thing that's pretty significant to me. What else? Another thing is more pictures. I mean, we had a lot of framed pictures all over the house of family and friends, and we had several paintings that my mom had done. And my mom's still alive, but she's great. We both really get along great with her, and we love her art, and she's, so there were probably, we had at least five of her paintings. And so that's something I would have loved to have been able to take. And then the kids stuff, kids drawings, we didn't even really think about that so much, but maybe if I get a chance, I can show you. But a friend actually had a drawing that Molly had done for him back when she was probably 6 or something, I think. I mean, I don't know, maybe 6 years old, because it's that little kid printing, and a drawing of herself, a color drawing of herself that she'd given to him when he left Boulder, and he sent it to us. And as soon as we saw that, we realized how much we knew. I mean, I guess we hadn't thought about that really specifically, but then it was like all the kids stuff. I mean, we had
All the video.
we're not really thrower awayers, so.
All
we
the
had-
videotapes of the kids growing up,
Right, yeah. And then, I don't know, anything else that you,
I don't think we put that on the insurance.
yes, we did,
Okay.
yeah.
So Sam, what are your top 3?
Well, the videotapes of the kids, I
So
guess,
say
would
my
be.
top 3.
I guess my top 3 things that we left there, the videotapes of the kids, when they were little, growing up, and I don't know, some mementos when from when I was growing up, and maybe the flute that you gave me, and
It's a Native American wooden flute that he's talking about.
I don't know, we pretty much, got the important things out.
Right, ourselves,
Yeah.
yeah. Yep.
Great. It's a nice last response there. Can you tell me briefly about the statue outside and the bird bath and
The objects that we went, okay.
the things that you went back to get?
Well, when we went back up,
Well, there wasn't much left.
no, there
So-
wasn't much left. It was a very
So-
devastated site, because those flames that came up, I mean, the firefighters have told us since that it was the hottest fire that they saw.
And that was the hottest part of the fire, right where
Right, where
our
our houses
houses
were.
were.
Right, because of the way, I guess, that it came up from Fourmile Canyon, it just
And
was really,
the county
really
guy
hot.
said, because I've been finding it, I've been asking about, how would you replace it, what kind of fireproofing, would you
And a
put on
rebuild.
it, on a rebuild, and he said, well, no material would have, stood up to the heat of that fire, and, it melted glass and,
Metal.
metal. And
So it was very hot, but we went back up. The first time we went back up was the Friday. The fire was on a Monday, and it wasn't. We couldn't go back up. We wanted to go back up
And
sooner
they
than
wouldn't let
that,
us up.
but nobody would let us up there. So Friday, the only reason we got up was because we knew some of the firefighters, and they said you can go in for a little while. We had our insurance adjuster with us, and he really needed to see the place and take pictures and that kind of thing. And so they said it's really not safe. and it wasn't. It was still smoking, there were small fires, and it smelled like propane. So it was not a place that you really wanted to hang out for very long. But at that point, we saw, well, hard to describe, but you know, if you figure our house was here, it was a geodesic dome, so it was gone. So we drove up, there's nothing, but looking out towards Sugarloaf Mountain over here, and the divide over here, that was our view. There is a sort of a little spit of land that comes off of came off of the back of our house, and our deck and our sunroom that were on the back of our house, and the cedar sculpture was at the end of that piece of land. So we're not talking about long ways away. How far from the house? Like,
We're at
that.
100 feet, you know, probably not, probably, I don't know, probably 80 feet
From the house. So, I mean, so she was part of our place, but she survived.
It's on the fill.
We called it the fill because when the house was built, that was the fill from building the house. So we called it the fill. But anyway, so she was standing there. I mean, you could see her. It was very kind of eerie in a way because nothing else was in between us and you usually couldn't see her when you drove up because there was a house there.
We put her there to protect one of the Christmas trees.
Oh, one of our trees, right, yeah. But anyway, so yeah, she's made out of yellow cedar. She's probably, how tall is she?
Probably 7 foot.
Feet tall. And she was sculpted by our neighbor, Yates Lansing, who was a sculptor. And he sculpted her she's pretty old. She was yellow cedar from the Northwest, where he lived for a while and did some work. And he gave her to us, I don't know when, a long time ago. And after she was put outside, she was painted black because it was a protective coating for her. And she was really very majestic at the end of the fill, black, but she faded some over the years. We always called her the Black Lady, just because there she was. So anyway, she was there, and then just in a little further on the fill was our bird bath, which is a bird bath. And our picnic table was next to her, an old picnic table that we had out there. And our Weber barbecue grill was sitting there still.
George.
And then, well, we didn't know George was there
George
yet.
fell
We didn't
over,
find
yeah.
him. We didn't. So that's really all we saw right away, and we didn't take anything with us at the time.
Who's George?
George was a wedding present to Sam and I when we got married in 1973, and he was given to us by an old college roommate of Sam's, and he is a sculpture done out of volcanic rock. And he's about yay big, and he's Mayan in style, I guess I would say. So that's who George is. I don't know why we named him George. We did know why we named him George.
Yeah, because the first apartment, the first place we lived, you know, when we were painting it, you know.
Oh, it was like a graffiti or somebody.
Yeah, we kept painting it over, and George kept coming through.
Right, the name George kept coming through. We couldn't get it covered
And the
up,
sculpture
so-
was there, so.
Right, so we named him George.
So when you went back up,
Another time. So that's what we saw the first time, and Sam and Jim, our neighbor, went up to get the Black Lady and the bird bath.
Right.
Right, like within a couple weeks of the fire, like within, the first
week or two.
Week or two, I don't know.
Yeah.
And then we went back up again,
Got
just the two of us, and just to look around and just, I don't know, spend some time there. And that's when we discovered the bird. There we have a wrought iron, I guess it is, bird. They're supposed to rust. It's like a garden thing. It's real funny.
Employees get it.
And our employees had given us that, and I found it laying face down in the rubble, and I just kind of picked it up, and I said, Sam, this is completely fine. So we took it with us, and then we also found George at that time, laying down, and took George with us.
George is hurt.
Yeah, George is he's kind of cracked and stuff, but he's still, I think we can probably...
We're going to repair George.
We are going to repair George, yeah, because he's been with us a long time. So anyway, so that's really it, isn't it? I mean, yeah, pretty much. So.
Whatever's it.
Yeah, that's it in terms of what we've brought, I mean, we saw other things in the hole that had been our house. There were things laying in there. But I just didn't, there was, for instance, we really like pottery. And there were some pottery pieces that were like laying down from what had been our kitchen, that it all was in the bottom. And it all had turned one color. All the pottery was the same color. It was sort of a mustard yellow. Very odd. So I guess, I don't know if it melted and reglazed or what.
We had plenty of offers to, get down there and.
Yeah, people wanted to help us go through the whole thing.
But we felt like it was too toxic because of, everything that everybody said, there's.
Insulation and stuff. We didn't have asbestos, but still.
Well, there might have been asbestos in
something.
in the roofing or so, we just.
We didn't want to put everybody told us that if you were going to go in there and root around, you needed to wear a hazmat suit and a mask and gloves and, it was
We just didn't want to.
We didn't want to put anybody through that, and we didn't really want to go through it ourselves. And we realized that there was nothing in there that was
Except
so
for Molly's
important. Yeah, there was a
little
necklace
diamond
that we wouldn't have minded finding, but that our younger daughter had gotten from her grandma, Sam's mom, who was a concentration camp victim during the war and survived, a survivor. And she is from Poland. And she had some diamonds that she had with her, and each one of her grandchildren, who all happen to be girls, which is interesting, she's had jewelry made for them out of one of the diamonds. So, and on their 16th birthday, she's given it to them. So this was Molly's necklace that Lola had made for her with that diamond. And she had brought it home over the 4th of July because she wears it, but she forgot it and left it in her bedroom and in a little, bowl on a nightstand. And so we know it was there somewhere. So that was, and people said, oh no, we could find that, we could sift through everything and I bet we'd find something, And when we looked down there, it was kind of, it just didn't seem.
There were piles of rubble on top of it.
Yeah, there were piles everywhere, so it just didn't seem like it was something that we were going to, we just didn't do it. We chose not to, so.
Thank you. I'm going to ask Sam, give him a chance to answer a question directly, which is just, can you talk about the cards and things that people have sent you?
Well, I think we've been really overwhelmed by people's generosity and feeling of support that we've gotten from the community. So. And, and the cards, and their cards are from friends and acquaintances and, business acquaintances and board members that, Cheryl and I have been on boards for years, some nonprofit boards. And, just very heartwarming.
Okay, thank you. I've heard a lot of other people talk about the generosity of the community and their friends.
Well, we live in a great community.
Yeah, people really seem to step up in this fire.
One of our younger daughter called us a few weeks ago and she said, oh, I was feeling really homesick today. And then I felt really sad because I realized I didn't have a home. to feel homesick of that. And I said, you know what? You do have a home. I said, you don't have your the house you were raised in, but Boulder is still your home, and Boulder will welcome you anytime you come here. Because I really think that's true. I think it's a pretty amazing place for a place that's grown as much as it has, and and changed a lot. It still has that. People still like run into each other and say, "Oh, it's such a small town," and it's really not a small town anymore. But I mean, it has the feel of a small town a lot of times, and I think in situations like this, it has that sort of heart, that hasn't gone away. Hopefully, it never will.
Yeah. Thank you. While Cheryl's here, can you get a shot of her shoes?
I actually already did, but I'm gonna
you
get
did?
a second one.
Do you want me to move the...
The cable,
cable?
yeah, right
Yeah.
now. Good, thank you.
Mm-hmm. Luckily, they're really comfortable shoes. So.
And they're the ones that Sam hates.
No,
No, you hate
I
these.
hate the ones
Okay.
that he had in the car, and he hasn't worn them.
Yeah.
So, I mean, they're
You
there.
hit on the ones that he has on now.
Hold on.
No.
Yep.
no,
Now I'm getting the cards.
Yeah, do you want me to move
He might have
the
had
chair?
those on. I'll have to look.
Actually,
Yeah,
I'm gonna get
No,
first the
no
ones on
slippers.
top and then we move
Oh,
with the
He's
chair.
wearing slippers
I didn't
today.
even
No,
notice.
he did have a pair of shoes on when we
Had a
left.
pair of sneakers.
Yeah, a pair of sneakers.
And
Okay.
maybe we'll get a shot of your pants.
Yeah, those are,
Survivor
Survivors.
pants.
it's a good thing, too.
There you go.
You really like those. They're comfortable.
My sweatpants with the zipper.
Right. Hard to find.
Yeah, the comforts at home are few for you guys,
Right,
but I
right.
bet they're really important.
Yeah, they are.
You done?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
What we were talking about. Tons of pictures. A lot of them are Polaroids, believe it or not.
I have those,
Polaroids.
yeah, I have those. We used to love
You shooting there?
Yeah, I'm shooting there.
I don't even know if you can buy, I think you can buy
Let me
Polaroid.
just check the
Oh, you
focus.
can? I think maybe that you couldn't for a long time, and then somebody decided
You're
to
right.
remake it.
You're
I
right.
figure you're
Alright.
coming out of it, you know.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
You okay?
That's good. Yeah, perfect.
Okay,
Thank you.
sure.
I'm gonna get the cards right behind you.
Okay.
Avoiding everybody. It ended up with pictures.
Yeah, it was fun to know. Sure, yeah.
And he wanted to get the.
He, I think he already got the card.
No, I think you should.
Oh, okay.
Are we in?
He's getting more.
You're not in it, are we?
No.
Who, are these all your travel books?
No,
No.
they're hers.
She's a traveler.
Yeah.
We used to have some travel.
Oh, yeah, we did. But not that many. We didn't travel that many places. She and her husband obviously did some traveling.
Yeah.
So you
We wish.
met her, you
Oh,
know
sure.
her?
We rented directly from her.
Right, and you knew her before?
No, we met her after the
Through your
fire through, actually our Sam's sister and brother-in-law.
Nice jacket. Right, it's the best things in the world.
Just sit at home innocent and somebody brings you food. This is incredible. This is incredible.
That's nice to have her here watching over us.
Get a jacket.
Get this angle over on this side here.
Yeah.
Hmm.
I mean, you
Oh, yeah,
see
beautiful.
what I'm saying?
Yeah, yeah, I see what you're saying. Can totally see that.
With the tree and all of it. The colors.
And and I'm sorry if I'm suggesting too many things to you.
No, no, please tell me. You know,
Yeah.
We
appreciate that.
just away.
This actually is really beautiful.
One person animal is still in the park, right? And it's really done in one. I was up there scouting out addresses and everything before the gunfire. This could go up over here. Frightening.
Anything else that you want to show us? Yeah, interesting.
And it came in this incredible, there's somebody called the Crow Flower that sends flowers. I mean, and it's not like they, yeah, it's not like they had it sent from somewhere in Boulder. It was sent, I mean, it was from wherever. This is how big it is, but the box it came in was like this tall, you know, this big around. I know, yeah.
I have our store pictures mixed
Yeah,
in
yeah,
here too.
He seems very happy here.
I worked for the Boulder Film Festival.
Oh, do you?
Yeah, so
And then this one was the
we've been in the
we got
store
a friend-
making
a friend
copies.
Right,
gave us.
yeah.
This
Bringing
one's,
in-
but, yeah, so I have two. The beginning
This
of
is
my
a
new
new friend to
collection.
mine.
Well, I had one actually in the
Oh,
garden.
yeah, I know, it's really funny.
Wow.